back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, gonna go over a story titled Nearly 3 Days from D-Day. And guys, this story is about a guy, this poor, unsuspecting guy, who marries the wife from hell. Now, I know I've said that before on occasional stories and videos I've done on both channels, but this one definitely is most certainly warranted. This is a guy who gets involved with a gal from the beginning, has red flags, but because he doesn't know any better, tries to be the white knight and the hero. And we all know what happens to white knights and heroes that try to save the girl. They end up being just demolished by her. And you're going to see the story, guys, time after time, the crap he puts up with. However, like these stories I go over, there is a happy ending here. A happy ending when he finally sees her true colors, and he does come out on top, especially in the divorce in terms of assets and all that. But not after going through a whole lot of hell and humiliation. And I'm doing this one, guys, as a perfect example of why I do this channel and other channels and talk about these things to hopefully help some guys out there from making mistakes, not making the mistakes that this guy does. Because you're going to see here from the get-go, she's damaged. She's got issues. And he has to be her savior and her hero. And he lets so much crap go. And you're going to see, and I talk about this a lot, how a lot of guys, they have the mindset of marriage and how things ought to be based on how their parents and their grandparents' marriages were versus today's world. And today's young woman and Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0, how they behave, they don't match up. And ultimately, there are so many red flags here, good Lord. But anyhow, guys, as I go through this, you'll moments, just like me, you're going to smack the hell out of him. But he does learn. So, you like a good long story about somebody getting at the end, you'll like this one. So it starts off, he says, I've been reading Reddit stories on infidelity for a while, and I've contemplated for nearly 2 years whether to post. This is a longer post, however, it encompasses about 2 years of my experience with a cheating wife while I was in the Army. Hope you like to read it. This is a long one. This is long, guys, but lots of lessons here. I, a 28-year-old male, have been with my wife, 26-year-old female, for 8 years. Married for 4. Let's call my wife Kay. For some backstory, Kay and I got together at a young age and in 2-ish years moved in together in 2016. Kay enjoys alcohol a little too much and has always tried to portray herself in a promiscuous nature. Right there. That means run. That means don't get involved with someone like this. Likes alcohol too much and portrays herself in a promiscuous nature. Gee, what could possibly go wrong? And yet this poor young dumb bastard doesn't know any better. She has always fought with depression, and I always have been there for her. Whether it was staying up until 3 in the morning because she had a bad day at work, or taking time away from my activities at her request. Nice guy shit. Looking past her flaws, seeming small to me, we got married after 3 years. Smack! Someone like this is not relationship material. She's damaged, but he's the white knight hero. And where do the white knight heroes come from? They come from people watching movies and TVs of the white knight saving these girls. And all they end up doing is being destroyed by these vampires, these harpies. Shortly after, I joined the Army to fulfill my dream, as well as getting us out of our hometown and state, which was a big dream of hers. So she latched on to you because she knew you would get her out of that small town by joining the Army. This allowed us many opportunities, but she grew a hatred for my job. After a few weeks at my new duty station, I was sent off for a 9-month deployment from 2017 to 2018. During the time of my deployment, Kay fell into a self-proclaimed depression, which I tried at best I could help, though I was on the other side of the world. She spent lots of money on little things, bought a Jeep that I begrudgingly said yes to, and she spent her days at home rather than finding friends, hobbies, or a job. When I got back from deployment, I myself fell into a depression, which compounded with anxiety. Oh, great girl. At the time, all Kay wanted to do was drink, party, and go out, while I wanted to just come home after 10 to 14 hours working in the motor pool 6 days a week on average. She eventually went to work at a nearby town as an EMT, where she met some strange new friends, as they liked to drink and party. In retrospect, I wanted to make her happy and went out as often as I could with her, but it never seemed to be enough. Of course it's never enough, because you're never going to make these girls enough. He is Every day passes, she's losing more respect for him because he does everything that he doesn't want to do. He tries to make her happy at his expense. He makes himself unhappy to make her happy. Nobody's going to respect someone that does that, right? Women want a fucking man, not a pushover. And he's a good guy, obviously, but he doesn't know any better. And also, she's trouble. Remember, likes to drink a lot, likes to portray herself in a promiscuous way, depression problems. Guys, you don't need this. Let some other unsuspecting sucker fix her. It's not your job. You want someone in your relationship, guys, to have someone that has it together, not like this. Fast forward to my last field training in 2019, I left and things seemed fine, though she felt distant within the previous weeks. We've been trying to conceive for a few months, leading up until that with no results. Before I left to my month-long training, she made a big deal about getting back on birth control as soon as possible, which I found rather odd. Gee, I wonder why. Well, you're going to see here. At that time, my depression had begun to peak, and I had told her that something was wrong with me, so let it go without question. It's hard to describe, but it felt like the check engine light had come on in my mind one day. I told her I needed to get through this last training, and I'll work on myself, and I'll put more into us. I felt terrible leaving. I felt terrible about myself, about my marriage, about my life. The majority of the time, I always had to keep the constant thoughts of reaching into the tracks of my tank to off myself. All I wanted was to be at home with my wife. So you can see this guy, he's having a hard time. He's got depression problems, and you can imagine why, being married to her. Now wait till you see what happens when he needs her the most. And remember, this is the guy who's always there for her. When I returned, she told me over the phone that she doesn't love me and that we need to take a break. Oh, how nice. I was devastated. I asked questions about why and what I could do to change your mind to no available. Smack! Change your mind. This is your perfect way out. Getting rid of this harpy. One question in particular stands out to me though. I asked if she grew feelings for someone else, not maliciously, but in an understanding tone. Her eyes grew wide and her face grew flushed as she berated me for asking such a question. That she knew I was going to turn to that question, and how dare I think that of her. Gaslighting, twisting things around. What do you think she's doing while he is away, deployed for 9 months or wherever at the time? Think she's just sitting around playing solitaire on the computer? No. She's doing other things to keep herself entertained. Within 2 weeks, she packs up her belongings that she wanted and left to live with her friend. Only taking one of our dogs and leaving me with the rest of our pets. The ones I never asked for, but go with her to make her happy. As she was walking out the door, she asked why I looked so upset. What a freaking sociopath. She wants a break. This guy should never have allowed this. He should have said, look, here's the deal. We're either going to work on this ourselves now, or we're done. End of story. And yeah, he'd get hit hard in the divorce and all that, but this guy's never laid down the law with her. He's always give, and she is take. She doesn't give a shit about it. Total narcissist. I told her I was feeling like she was abandoning me. That throughout our relationship, I was always there for her and her depression episodes, and this seemed all unfair. She suddenly grew angry and left without saying anything except for an exasperated gasp. There you go. He's always there for her. You all heard this. But when he needs her, we need a break. Real loving, huh? At the time, I was in awe, and it was a turning point for myself in terms of my depression. I looked towards counseling. I read books on relationships. I tried many things to get her to change her mind. Smack. Why? Because she's such a wonderful person? She's a leech. She's trouble. She's leaving you when you need her the most. That's not love. What about in sickness and health? All that, right? I also began exercising. After a couple weeks of trying to sway her, I grew frustrated and gave up my pursuit. Hallelujah. I called her, said that since things looked like they are completely through with us, that if it was okay if I started to talk to other people. Smack. Smack because you should be talking to other women right now. You got to work on yourself. You're not in that place. And two, asking her permission. She walked out on you. You can do whatever the hell you want. She paused for what seemed like an eternity with a choked up voice and said yes. She's a good actress. I continue to work on myself physically and mentally. I continue to fix up the house, go to the gym, read books, and become more social with my friends at work. I talked with some women, but I felt disgusted at the fact that I felt like I was giving up on her, which hindered any success I had talking with some women. What I just say, he's in no condition to start dating other women right now because he's got too much to work on himself. Aside from that fact, I saw a change in myself. I was happy, I felt confident, and I could do anything I put my mind to. Good for this guy. That's what happens when you're feeling good about yourself. You feel like you can do anything. That's why I encourage self-improvement so much on this channel, especially the other one. Guys build themselves up, and then all of a sudden their whole being changes. They can do anything. Things were fine for me until February 2020, where Kay and I had to meet to do our taxes. She saw me and all that I had become and jumped at the chance to talk with me again. There you go. He got in better shape, he was feeling confident and feeling good, and she felt attraction to him. I naively wanted her back. Smack. We talked some, hung out, and within a month she moved back into the house. I'd asked her if she had slept with anyone during our separation, and she told me no. With no reason to doubt her, I took that answer at face value. Smack. Naive jackass. I wish this guy had men in his life that he could confide in, explain what's going on, and could tell him what's really going on here. Unfortunately, he does not. This is why I do these stories. Hopefully this will help somebody out. Sometime in March, a school friend of hers wanted to meet up at a bar. Kay invited me to go. I don't usually like the bar scene, but felt I should go to solidify our rekindled relationship. Translation, he's going to go right back to doing the crap he did before to make her happy, which only made her lose respect for him. But then again, you can't let this girl out of your sight for a second, and you're about to see why. We meet up with her friends, B, a male, and J, a female, and began to talk and drink. After a while, some more guys showed up that J knew, and she introduced us all. From there, B began to ask me about the Army, so K turned her attention to J. After a while, K, there's a lot of K's and J's and all these fucking letters here, but just bear with me, guys. After a while, K said to her and J were going inside to use the bathroom and to get some more drinks. So B and I continued to talk. After 30 or so minutes, B asked me if K and J had been gone a while. I'm not terribly worried, but within a few minutes, they returned. I noticed that when K and J returned, J's guys' friends followed them outside. K sits next to me on the bench, but faces away to talk to the group. B and I continue to talk for a minute or two until I notice that B turns white. Now watch this. With his mouth agape looking at my side, I turn to see what's up and notice that one of the guys was kissing Kay, not a peck. This guy's wife is making out with some dude right next to him. Does this sound like a girl is deeply in love with her husband, respects him? No. And this dumb bastard keeps taking her back. She has no respect for him. She has so much disdain for this guy. She obviously wants to just keep punishing him and right in front of him. Right? He should have kicked her to the curb and divorced her when he had the chance. He had his hands around her hips, and she had her hands on his package. I stood up, pushed his shoulder, but they were holding on to each other and were drunk. I then planted my feet and pushed him into the wall that was behind him as I made a scene and said, "That's my wife." The entire bar turns to me. Kay begins to drunkenly laugh, followed by Jay and the guy Kay was kissing. In that moment, I felt such an embarrassment and betrayal. I didn't know what to do. My heart sank in disbelief. Yeah, he should have left, walked out of there and said, "That's it, we're done, don't ever fucking come back." I told Kay we were leaving now, to her friends saying that we don't need to leave. I could have easily punched that whole group for what had happened, but I pushed Kay into the car and we left. Why? She's making out with another dude. It takes two to tango, okay? You're putting her in your car and saying we're going home? Why are you with this woman? This is what happens when guys don't know about the things I talk about in this channel, when guys don't have good role models, and guys are that clueless and weak, I might add. There are women out there, a lot of women that are parasites and will prey on guys just like this. I carried her to the bed. We got home. I carried her to the bed, pushed a pillow under her back, and put a bucket next to the bed while I drank a bottle of tequila and threw it up through the front door while I felt my world crash around me. The next day, she claimed she was blackout drunk and she didn't remember anything. She thought she was drugged. What a load of bullshit. Oh, I was drunk. And blame it on or I was drugged. Sure. I followed up by saying we should get her tested and write a report. She then said, being in the medical field, that the drugs would have already been passed through her system, and that a police report wouldn't do anything. Oh, okay. Even though she said moments ago that she was drugged, the second he brought up filing a police report about being potentially drugged in a bar, then she was against that. Bells and whistles rang loudly in my head, and I naively trusted her. Smack. How much suffering does someone have to go through until they finally accept? Well, you'll see, guys. From there, some weird little things and quirks seemed to rear its ugly head now and again, but nothing that screamed at me to question further. Until July. What, her making out with another dude wasn't enough for you? Or her abandoning you when you were at your low point? Come on. July was when I was getting out of the Army. I set time aside for a vacation for us to travel back to California to see my family, which she has told me she hates. Probably because his family sees right through her. It had been over a year since I had seen them, and I wanted to see them. So I told Kay that we will set aside 2 days just for us. We left for California in the afternoon, and it would be about a 20-hour trip. Halfway there, somewhere past midnight, I noticed there were some messages that were on her phone. I found it odd that she never gets messages during the day, and now she has them coming in by the dozens. So while she slept in the car, while I drove, I made the decision to snoop. I saw messages from guys talking about how good the dates were back during our 4-month separation. Remember, this is the girl who said she didn't date anybody or hook up with anybody while they were apart? I felt sick, but I didn't read further. I didn't confront her then, but the messages seemed to sear into my brain during the vacation. One night at my dad's cabin, everyone fell asleep watching a movie. I woke up Kay and said we needed to talk. So I went upstairs went outside to sit in the car. I told her I found some things on her phone and that I didn't appreciate her talking to other guys while we were separated. Yeah, or how about her talking to other guys right then and there when you're on a road trip to see your family? This woman is just red flag after red flag. I mean, just it's like, she's probably like, I can't believe this guy. This guy, she keeps doing more shit and this guy keeps taking it. I told her I found some things on her phone, blah, blah, blah. Her face went white as a ghost as she snatched her phone from my hand and proceeded to delete her Snapchat, saying she will never use the app again. Sure. I found the interaction odd. My gut told me to press further, but again, I withheld the pursuit, which made me so uneasy. I felt we had talked about the issue and came to a resolution. Are you out of your damn mind, bro? There's only one resolution with someone like this. Breakup. Divorce. I told her that when she gave me the go ahead on dating, that I had been with one other woman, and I felt terrible about it with regret. When it was her turn to discuss, she said she was only working on herself and simply talking to these guys to pass the time with a date here and there. I asked her if that was all, and she promised that it was. Define working on herself. After returning from California, the interaction at the cabin was troubling to me. Things weren't adding up. You think? I felt there was more, so I opened up her phone again while she was asleep, re-downloaded her Snapchat, and read through everything I could find. She saved most of her Snap messages. I saw that she, in fact, had been having sex with other men during our separation. Notice she said other men, not man, men. Duh, dude. I woke her up and told her she lied to me. Another 2 hours discussion ensued, and I gave into her defense that we were separated at the time and that she didn't want to tell me at the cabin because she didn't want me to think differently of her. Things didn't feel right to me, but I went along with the story to go to bed since I was tired. Smack. You guys can jump in with the smacks too if you want, because this guy deserves it. But don't worry, he will come to his senses. But I gotta do a story like this, guys. A little intermission here. I gotta do a story like this every now and again, just to show how clueless some guys are, and sadly weak, and have to go through so much suffering until they finally kick the girl to the curb. Just so you guys don't make these mistakes that these guys do. After a few more weeks go by, and I wake up one night feeling something else had to be a clusterfuck on my marriage, I went through her phone one more time and began to look way back. I felt almost obsessive at this point in finding that missing piece of this whole charade. What missing piece? You have enough information you need to kick her to the curb. She doesn't love you. She's a total narcissist and sociopath. At last I found it. I felt like Sherlock Holmes when I read messages with guys she was speaking with that was dated before our breakup. I even learned they were intimate with the very weekend I left for my training. Shortly after feeling a sense of relief, like finishing a big project you've been working on, I immediately fell into a sense of rage. I woke her up again and berated her for being a cheater and for lying to me constantly. The interaction that follows is the first time I knew she was gaslighting me. Really? Because she's been gaslighting you since day one. She claimed that I was disrespecting her, taking things out of context, and I didn't trust her or respect her boundaries. Oh, okay. It was a very heated morning. She got out of bed claiming she doesn't need this, and she was going to go to work 3 hours early. I said, stay, I want to talk, but she left. An hour later, she returned saying she called off work, then proceeded to go to bed saying she won't talk to me. After some time trying to talk with her, I felt defeated. I left the house and started walking for hours. When I returned, she turned on the waterworks. Everything seemed so heavy. Over the week, she convinced me that I should forgive her. Smack! The waterworks. The crocodile tears, the last line of defense, and it worked again. There's a point when guys deserve what they get. In my opinion, this is what you have to have, like the IQ of I don't know, IQ score of 33. How can anybody with any intelligence could not? You see what I mean, guys? There's a point when these guys actually deserve a lot of the shit they go through because they just are that blind. Yeah, I feel bad for this guy on one side, but also it's like, come on, dude. Over the months, we worked at our marriage. I never completely trusted her again, though. Then it's not a marriage. I would check her phone and messages constantly, as that was one of my stipulations for staying together. Her friends always fed into her being the victim, claiming that I'm too jealous and asking why I'm so hurt when they made claims that while I was in the army, of course I cheated every opportunity I could on her. So her friends are, of course, making him out to be the bad guy and saying, well, you were in the army, so you must have cheated on her. And obviously he didn't. I never so much as looked at another woman like I did with her. Her boss even consoled her, which I was always suspicious of since they had said some unprofessional things to each other before, like all places, they were going to... I can't see that. She always claimed that they were simply jokes. Things seemed to get better between us until finally we had a counseling session. She claimed the counselor was a quack and that she will not attend. Probably because the counselor was going to call her out on her crap. She began to stay in the next town over where she worked more often. I even noticed she changed her passwords on everything. I felt more comfortable about the past by now, though I still had my reservations. We even put in offers for some houses. However, I noticed she was beginning to become closed off again. What do you mean he's feeling more comfortable in their situation? Are you out of your mind? Maybe she was like a freaking Jedi Master with a Jedi mind trick on this guy. Or like a Sith Lord. That's more like it was a Sith mind trick on this guy. One night we went to the next town over to hang out with some of her coworkers, which was fun. But her very attractive friend invited us to go back to her place to sleep off the alcohol, but she warned us that she herself was planning on hooking up with another coworker. Another coworker, huh? Real smart. We went over, drank a little more. One thing led to another. My wife and her friend made out, which I didn't think was cheating at the time. Smack! Whether your wife's making out with another dude or another woman, it's still cheating, dumbass. Then her friend and the male coworker went into the other room. Her friend came out moments later saying the male coworker passed out, but she needed me. She walked up to me and attempted to kiss me, to which I shrugged her off, looking at my wife saying, I'm not cool with this. She says it's okay to F her. I was speechless and simply said, I'm not comfortable with that as we were working on each other. That was that. This guy's wife was okay with him effing her friend and coworker. Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. No woman that loves her guy is going to be okay with another woman touching him, let alone this, right? A few messages came in from her boss at an odd time of the night, even though we had a conversation before about him talking to her. I was doing some concrete work earlier in the day, so I used that as an excuse of checking on the concrete. I peeked into our bedroom window and found them messaging heavily and her taking pictures of herself for him. Once a cheater, always a cheater. People don't change. The next week after, we won a bid on the house, but she suddenly changed her mind. That was the last straw for me. I told her I wanted a divorce. Hallelujah. But I cannot believe that her not wanting to get a house was the final straw for a divorce, not her doing all these things she's been doing since day one. But he's the white knight hero that's going to protect his girl and believe anything she says. People don't change, and when guys forgive and give girls second chances after cheating, it makes them lose even more respect for them, and there's more cheating. See the common theme of the story, guys? It's amazing how these stories are so similar, but human nature is human nature. That's why I keep doing these stories. The next few hours ensued a large argument. I told her that I'm unhappy, that I'm tired of being played a fool, that I'm tired of not being able to progress in life because she can't make up her mind, and that she has wasted 7 years of my life because she always deferred having children until we were set as adults. Dude, count as a blessing you never had kids with her. If you had kids with her, then you'd be stuck dealing with her to your dying day. She knew I wanted kids young, and she took that from me, and she now says she doesn't want to have kids at all. She left to work, and when she came back, she said she empathized with how I feel, and she would agree to the divorce. Yeah, if there's one word to describe her, is empathy. We started the divorce process in October. She asked me to go to California because I was so flustered, and we could talk about it when I got back. That I should spend a few weeks with my family before I started my new job in November. She's encouraging you to go leave. Gee, what could she be doing while you go away and leave? While I was in California, I had a great time with my family. I didn't have my wife trying to derail our conversations or pull me away from my family. I could spend all the time I wanted with them. This is when I let my family and friends know about what went on in the past for a year and a half. I was shocked to find out that family and friends had been hiding their suspicions from me as well. See, family and friends don't like her, but they didn't want to hurt his feelings when they actually should have told him. They're not dumb. They claimed I didn't need to have all that information weighing me down while I was in the Army, and they didn't want to put the idea in my head. Although I was upset, I knew they were trying to do good for me. I called my wife in a fury and brought up every one of those stories and told her she lied to me again, actually about our whole marriage. At this point, he's wasting his breath. He should just, okay, they're getting divorced, that's it. Stop calling up to yell at her about what she did then or then or then. You're getting divorced. Just let the divorce go smoothly and get rid of her. That I wouldn't be surprised she slept with guys before I even joined the Army. It felt good to have a real grasp of the truth and lies at this point, as I realized that my world for 7 years crumbled around me. I was open to the gaslighting that had kept me so obedient so long. Notice he said obedient. He is like an obedient whip puppy with her. I wouldn't say I'm a red pill kind of guy, but I see so much of my cheating experience play out in every single story I read and hear. Well, I'm sure he's R-pilled now. When I returned, I continued with a divorce request telling her that she should submit it. She did. We split everything in an agreeable way in that petition. Although we remained intimate after the decision, smack! You're getting divorced, you're still sleeping with her? She's using that to manipulate you, dude. At this point, I turned her advances down. A week later, after we signed some more forms, it finally hit her to the point where she was crying and sobbing, asking me why I'm doing this, stating that she didn't actually think I was going to go through with this, and this whole thing is unfair. Yeah, because she's been such a great wife to him. She agreed to the decision, though. I'm sure she understood when I alluded earlier that if I submitted the divorce papers, I would go for everything we had, and that I still had all her evidence. Good. Go for everything. Over the coming months, while waiting for our cool-down to expire for the divorce, she stayed at the house until she could get her own place. After a few advances to get me in bed failed, she seemed to only sob when I was around. Well, thank God he came to his senses and wasn't going to sleep with her during this whole period when getting this thing finalized. They should have been separated. They should have been different places. He should have get out of the house, that's it. But she obviously took her sweet-ass time of getting out of there, hoping to change his mind. She tried lots of things to get me upset. She would play the D-I-C-K... I don't want to say this word because I got to be careful here on YouTube. D-I-C-K-E-D down in Dallas. And other cheating songs to get me emotionally, and even brought a friend and two guys to my house to make me jealous. She's trash until the end. They tried to intimidate me as the large but fat guy that was with my wife kept eyeing me down while this friend made remarks. I tell him to get the fuck out of my house. Duh. I never said a word but did my laundry, walking right past him to do all the things with my concealed carry on, but with only faint print through my pants. My wife's friend noticed and said, hey, let's all go down, to which my wife needed some convincing. As they left, I let a few words slip to my wife's man, saying, "Just remember, you're a soldier and she's a married woman. I'm sure your command wouldn't like to hear about that." From then on, she never came around to the house with friends. A month later, she got a house in the town, and that seemed to be that. Well, it's about time he stood up for himself. I'm still in touch with my ex-in-laws. They're good people and helped me out tremendously throughout all this while apologizing for their daughter's decisions. Well, thank the Lord her parents are on his side and helped him. This guy has been a nitwit this whole time. And, I was a little harsh saying he has an IQ of 33. But, let's be honest here. It's just like, come on, man. How clueless can you be? I'm sure he's one hell of a good man, but good Lord. We still get together to hang out now and again, and I'm grateful to them in my life. I would have nothing to do with the in-laws. Even if they were great to him, I would have nothing to do with them so I can move on completely from her. I just wish things didn't go the way they did. Wishing and hoping is pointless. They tell me that my now ex-wife went through a lot of boyfriends, although none of them seemed to stick like I did to her. She is now, however, with a 34-year-old who's just got out of the Army. They are now engaged and moved to Tennessee. Good luck to that man. There you go. She found another sucker that she is going to do the same thing to do, guaranteed. I'm currently doing well for myself. I'm now renting out the house from my marriage, and I'm enjoying my new home in a different part of the city. Soon I'll be restoring my grandfather's truck, which I have put off for years now. On the mental side of things, I feel damaged. I find it difficult to connect with others and to trust them. Who can blame this guy? My dating life isn't great. I get a lot of attention and a lot of phone numbers, but many don't progress past the first couple of dates. I'm not sure why I find it so difficult to add someone to my life. Perhaps it's because I'm very picky now and I don't care for drama. Well, after what he's been through, who can blame him? But this guy needs to do a lot of work on himself before he can consider dating. And after this marriage, he might have his damn mind to get married again, let alone a relationship. This guy needs to dig deep as to why he put up with her for so long. This guy needs channels like mine, as well as other channels and books, to improve himself and have some self-worth, to not tolerate people in his life that's going to treat him like this. And to understand the very, very ugly side of female nature. I figured some more time to heal is the best before getting into serious dating. Amen. I waited almost 2 years to post this. I wasn't sure I wanted or needed to, but lately I feel that for my healing process to be complete, I need to get this out on the table, as it's difficult to throw out all the gruesome details to family and friends. I even left out some on here, as I feel this is getting to be a ridiculously long post. Yeah, this is a long post. Although I'm eager for this new chapter of my life to truly begin, I felt that there is a piece missing. Either way, I came out better than my ex, and I'm thankful for that. For the clear conscience that I did everything possible to be a good person, and I'm the wiser after all this. I will never tolerate cheating again or ever go against my gut instincts. Good, brother. If this is what it took for him to truly become RP'd, you know what I mean by that, R-pilled, can't say the real thing, and see things for as they are with female nature and the most ugly side of it, and having self-worth and cutting people out of your life that do you wrong, then okay. Because he's still young. He still has plenty of life to live. He's in his late 20s, for God's sakes. Thank you all for reading this. It's been nearly 3 years since this all started. I hope you can all use this story to make better decisions than I did. Bro, if what you went through and tell this story can help guys out there make better decisions, then hell yeah, okay, fine. Then the silver lining is there. But oh my God. I didn't know where to begin of all the mistakes he made. But this is an example of the white knights. Guys get brainwashed. They got to be that hero for that girl, that damaged girl with depression and mental problems and all that. And look what they endure. They don't stand up for themselves. They don't check her. They don't pay attention to red flags. When red flags do arise, they don't kick the girl to the curb. And also understanding that when you allow someone to walk all over you like to be a pushover with women, they don't respect that. And there are some that will be so disgusted by a guy's weak behavior, they'll then deliberately do worse stuff in a way to punish him for being so weak. No joke. You've heard this countless times in stories I've covered, guys. Can't be that guy. You need to put your needs first, not hers. Check her on her BS, and when it's time, cut him loose and never look back. Look at all this shit. Look at all the years wasted on this broad. Right? He could have been doing many other things to make him happy. But again, if this is what it took for him to learn, so be it. So I wish him the best. He's need to focus on himself, self-improvement, learn learn all the ugly sides of female nature, become totally R-pilled before he ever even thinking about going on a date again, and be the best he can be, and focus on himself, self-improvement, put himself first, his needs first. Hopefully he'll be okay. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. It was a long one. Those of you guys that stuck around, thank you. Appreciate your support. Be sure to comment down below, let me just think about this, and be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.